Hi guys, and welcome to my roundup show of the final weekend of Europe before the playoff finals in, of course, Europe, round 6. Apologies, we'll start with, sorry I didn't upload a preview show, and very sorry that this show is later than I anticipated. Of course, with upcoming mock exams, it's a bit difficult to put aside time for this vlog, but don't worry, it will continue to be a thing. Right, so we'll start with the Champions Cup then. It was a very good weekend of rugby, as usual, to be honest. Starting with Ulster and Oyonnax. Ulster definitely put out the better squad there. They definitely played the better rugby. That game finishing 56 points to 3. Oyonnax hardly turned up. Ulster just basically ran end to end, and it was pretty pathetic from a French perspective. The Oyonnax side were not at the best of the game to any extent whatsoever, really. So fair play to Ulster. Unfortunately, they didn't get through the pool. However, they did try their best, and they very nearly did. So good on them for that. We move on now to Toulouse, the so-called French Giants, as they are called regularly across the French suburbs. They lost to Saracens 17 points to 28. Sarries definitely played the better rugby there. Owen Farrell, he would like to forget that day, I'm sure. He had, when he came on for Charlie Hodgson off the bench, he had an okay game, but the fact that he dropped the ball over the line probably is something that he'd like to forget about. We move on. Bath faced Toulon, and Bath nearly had it as we approached full time, but it was indeed Toulon, the current European champions, who ran away victorious from that game, winning their 19 points to 14 at the Rec. Bath were very close. They managed to get back into the game. They were so close to winning it. They just faded and faded and faded, and fair play Toulon. They kept going. Quade Cooper had a very good game. Not a surprise, to be honest. Wasps, they played Leinster in the same pool. Wasps winning their 51 points to 10 in Leinster. What can we say about this? I genuinely thought that Leinster would have a better game than they did. I thought, yes, they're out, but they can still perform, and they very often do perform to the best of their ability. However, at the weekend, that was not at all the case. They got absolutely demolished by the Wasps, who ran them ragged. So fair play there. Wasps 51-10 full top. We move on. Glasgow had a very good game against Racing 92. Of course, Racing already qualified. They didn't start Ashington-Carter. They kind of put out a bit of a second-string side, as they knew that they already qualified for the quarter-finals. So they lost their 22 points to 5 up in Glasgow. I'm not taking anything away from the Glasgow side. They definitely put in their hard share of work to win that game. It was a tough game. They did very, very well to win it. So fair play to Glasgow. We move on. The Northampton Saints faced the Llanelli Scarlets. The Saints haven't had the best run of form in the Premiership. Of course, it is getting better and better, but the European side of things, it's gone quite well, winning their 22 points to 10, the Northampton Saints, to put them through to the next round. Munster, they won 28 points to 5 against Treviso. Treviso obviously aren't the hardest team to beat. However, at the same time, they do put up a valiant effort week in, week out in both the Pro 12 and in Europe. Munster, they got the bonus point win, but really it shouldn't have been a bonus point win at all. They threw a forward pass for their final try. It was clearly forward. It was a country mile forward, but they did indeed get victory. So very well done to them there. Of course, they didn't go through the pool stage, but they were close, but points difference and all that. We move on. Stade Francais played Leicester, and Stade in Paris playing very, very well, winning 36 points to 21 against the Tigers. Leicester had the chance to, well, Manu Tuolangi started the game absolutely brilliantly with the first try of the game. So, of course, returning after injury, it was a tough one, and fair play to him. He did very well. it's just the fact that Stade Francais, definitely with the 3 unanswered tries in the first half and the continuation in the second half, the Tigers were building up a comeback. They very nearly got that comeback with the 2 tries in the second half, and then nearly got a third as well. They're on the attack, but they chucked it very loosely, and Dumayrou scored for Stade Francais. Now, Exeter, Ospreys, Clermont and Bordeaux. It was the only pool of the European Champions Cup where every single side could have got through, and wasn't it a brilliant Sunday? Exeter won against the Ospreys 33-17. The Ospreys topped the table going into the day, and they had to, well, Exeter had to put in a hell of a lot to go through to the next round. That was a task that they were set, and they absolutely demolished it. 33-17 they beat the Ospreys, but really the massive effect, the reason that they went through was the game that happened in France, Clermont against Bordeaux. That one ended Bordeaux 37, Clermont 28. Clermont could have taken a last-minute penalty shot goal bang in front of the post. That would have gave them the bonus point for the tries and the bonus point for within 7 losing bonus point. But Morgan Parker decided to tap and go under the post. They were held up. Therefore, they lost the game. Not only did they lose the game, they finished bottom of the pool as a result of it. Exeter got through to the next round. Very well done to Bordeaux. They finished second as a result, and, well, they definitely deserved it after that kind of performance. Quarter-final-wise, it is Leicester against Stade Francais, a repeat of this weekend's action. Very much looking forward to that. Racing 92 face Toulon, an all-French affair. Saracens face Northampton Saints. Wasps face Exeter. Because Saracens face the Saints and the Wasps face the Chiefs, that means that an English club will 100% be in the final of this year's Champions Cup. And of course with Leicester in the mix as well, that means 5 out of 8 of the clubs are English, which gives the Brits a very the English side, sorry, a very good chance. The other 3, of course, are French. Not saying anything about the Scottish or the Irish there, but it's a fact. Right, we move on to the Challenge Cup. This will be brief, as it's not as entertaining, of course, and it's not televised as much as the Champions Cup. So, Newcastle beat Brive 27-23. That was a good game. Newcastle dominated mainly. Brive nearly got the victory, but fair play to the Falcons. They had to hold on, they had to play well, and hopefully for them they can bring that form into the Premiership next week. Connaught faced Ensai STM. The Russian side, they won 47-5, and, well, that's not a shock result. It was a shock result last week that the Falcons went down to Ensai STM as a result of they don't often play rugby in Russia, so fair play to them for being in here, and they did well last week, not so much this. Zebra, they face Gloucester. Both sides have had tremendous form in the pool. Gloucester won 14-11 in Parma. Zebra had a very good game, but Gloucester stole it right in the kind of midway through the second half, and they managed to hold out the Zebra side to get the victory and to put Gloucester through unbeaten, the defending Challenge Cup champions, of course. We move on. The Worcester Warriors, they had a tough affair against La Rochelle. They lost 35 points to 11. It was 6-6 at half time, and well, let's be honest, La Rochelle absolutely ripped into the Worcester Warriors and definitely deserved victory. They definitely played the better rugby in the second half. The Warriors did get a try of their own, but it was only a consolation. Really, it's just kind of disappointing that the Warriors haven't played that well in Europe, but they have had second string squads. They are focusing on the Aviva Premiership. We'll see how they do against Exeter, who of course have moved through into the European quarterfinals. We move on. Agen faced London Irish. London Irish didn't have much of a task ahead of them. They did get through to the quarterfinals as a result of this game, winning 31 points to 17 away from home in France. Very well done to them. Grenoble faced Edinburgh. Grenoble won that game 34 points to 23. It was close, it was widespread, but Grenoble managed to pull away in the second half, and really Edinburgh, disappointing result for them, as they could have qualified but they didn't. Sale faced the Newport Gwent Dragons. Newport have definitely had a reasonable campaign in Europe, but they lost. They got demolished by Sale Sharks, outclassed by some magnificent players, including Danny Cipriani, who had an absolute blinder of a game. And maybe that's saying, Eddie Jones, are you sure you don't want me in your England EPS squad? I'm sure if there is an injury, Danny might just be the next choice. You can hope he is a brilliant player, without a doubt. We move on. Castres Olympique faced Pau. Castres won that game 24 points to 7. It wasn't close at all. Castres dominated, as you would have expected going into the night. So yeah, very well done to Castres. La Rochelle, I said about that game, so I won't repeat it because you guys will not be entertained by that. No. What other games did we have? The final pool, that's it. Cardiff Blues faced the Calvsano on the weekend. The Italian outfit had an awful game. They lost 74 points to 6. Very well played by Cardiff. They definitely deserved the victory, and they did very well to get the victory. So, yeah, well done, Cardiff. They did not qualify, but they definitely managed to do very well in that game, and relatively well overall in their pool. Montpellier faced Harlequins. Harlequins didn't have a full squad out, as you know, they're qualified. They didn't want to risk it. They have the Premiership next week, whereas Montpellier put out the entire outfit, and both sides qualified, as a matter of fact. But Montpellier won that game 42 points to 9. Quarter-final wise, for the Challenge Cup, we have Gloucester versus Newport, Grenoble against Connaught, Quins against London Irish, and Sale against Montpellier. Those will be the games coming up in April. But until then, of course, I will fulfill your weekend with Aviva Premiership action and highlights. This weekend, round 10 of the Aviva Premiership. That will, I promise, well, I know I say I promise like on a weekly basis and it doesn't happen. And this week I will try my best to be prepared on Sunday to do the vlog, to give you the results from the weekend's rugby. It's only 6 games, I believe, yeah, 6 games rather than 20. Europe is much more challenging to record, as you have to take about, well, this one's 13.5 minutes roughly out of your schedule. So yes, it will be about 5 minutes long. So guys, I shall see you next week. Have a good weekend. Well, have a good next weekend. Hope you watch the rugby, and I will bring you my personal opinion next weekend. See you later, guys. Goodbye.